Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join me here today, out here in the vegetable garden. Anyhow, I wanted to share with you today some tips and ideas on how you can build a garden trellis for under $10. So thanks for joining me today. So follow me along and I'm going to show you where I'm going to be building this trellis out of a tomato cage. So I'm going to be building this trellis out of a tomato cage over here alongside my strawberries. So we're going to walk through this trellis that I built out of a cattle panel. And down here in my potato patch area, right alongside my strawberry patch, is where I'm going to be building this trellis this morning out of a tomato cage. So thanks for joining me today. So this tomato cage I bought it at a local home center. It's a heavy duty tomato cage, and the height of it is 54 inches, so it's 4'6". I paid probably about $6 maybe for this. And then the diameter of this is 18 inches in diameter. And so what you do is you take it and you turn it upside down like this, and you place it on the soil. But before we get started building this, let me show you one I already did right over here in the corner. So right behind me here, over in the corner, is where I just recently built another one just like it. And so let's just take a look and see what I did here. But these really turn out nice. They're very inexpensive to build. And then what I did is I put a 5-foot, or actually it was ended up being a 6-foot T-post in the middle of it to support the top end. And then I took a 2-inch by 3-inch wire section, about 12 inches in diameter, and placed it on top of the tomato cage and wired it there. And it really made like a nice 6-foot trellis. And what I'm going to be doing is growing my beans up this trellis. So the few things you're going to need to build this trellis is your tomato cage. Again, like mine was 4.5 feet high and 18 inches in diameter, and then a 6-foot T-post. Now they also sell shorter tomato cages and shorter fence posts if you want a shorter one, but mine finished out about 6 feet high, and you can get these at your home centers. And I'll end up driving this in about 1 foot into the ground. And then what else you'll need is a hand sledgehammer, and then a torpedo level or a level of some kind. And then I also want to use my log splitting maul. I use the side of it to hammer in the stake. And then I have a roll of wire. This is like a 17 gauge wire that I use just around my property or in my garden for different purposes. And then some wire cutters. And then also I made a 12-inch diameter circle out of some the fencing that I'm going to just slip down on top of the tomato cage and wire that to the tomato cage. And then this was an old fence section that I had that I just take pieces from that I use around my property. So I'm going to just take the tomato cage and place it in the soil here, and then take the stake here the fencing T-post and put it right down the middle of this, and then eyeball center, and then tap it in. Just to get it started. And then I'm going to take my torpedo level and my mini sledge and get my small ladder here. So I can start hammering this down in better. And then I'm going to take the torpedo level and keep it plumb as I pound it in. And you want to try to plumb it front and back the best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so that's pretty plumb. I'm going to take my bigger sledgehammer and finish pounding that in. And so at this point, this is going to be nice and secure. So what I'm going to do next then is take some of my wire and cut a piece about 12 inches, and then take these 4 pointed prongs and, you know, put the wire through the hole here, and you just want to secure that to the these prongs to the T-post the best you can. Just kind of wrap it around the wire. And just twist it in together. Now, depending on where the holes are in your T-post, you may have to adjust the height, but this is going to secure the tomato cage really nice to the T-post here. So now that I have the top of this anchored to the T-post, you know, I'm taking my wire section here that's about 12 inches in diameter, and I just bent the ends over to form a nice hoop here. And then I'm just going to slip that down over the top of the cage. And I'm about 6 feet tall, and so this cage is, or trellis is 6 feet. And so, you know, this trellis cost me about around $10 to build, and so very inexpensive, very efficient way to build a trellis for your garden. And so I'm just going to take these, I have 2 more pieces of wire, they're about 2 feet long, and connect these to the tomato cage and wire it together so this hoop here is attached to the T-post. I'm going to climb my ladder here in order to wire this around the T-post. I attached it to one end of the wire hoop, and then I just wrapped it around one time, and then I'm actually going to be adding one more wire. So the wires inside this hoop actually form like a T, and then, so it's going to brace it, keep it from rocking back and forth. And so they kind of crisscross in the middle, and I'm running this piece of wire the other direction. I wrapped it around the T-post. I attached it to one end of the wire, wrapped it around the T-post, and came to the other side, and then wrapped this side around the T-post. Finish wrapping your ends of your wire around real nice. Just be careful of your wire ends that you don't snag on them or cut yourself. You may want to cut them nice and close. Like if I'm going to be growing beans up here, so you don't want to be snagged or cut by a piece of that wire. And then I'm also going to take 3 other little pieces of wire. These are about 8 inches long, and attach the bottom of this wire hoop to the one wire piece on the tomato cage. There's a hoop that's around the base of this. So I'm going to attach my wire hoop to the tomato cage at the bottom too. And I'm going to do that in 3 places here. And that way it's going to secure the wire hoop to the tomato cage. And then just take your wire cutters and trim these ends off real nice, so no one gets cut, and bend them out of the way. And so, you know, this is a nice maintenance-free trellis for under $10. Now, I had the wire fencing around. I didn't have to pay for that, but you know, it's a very inexpensive way to have a garden trellis out here to grow your beans up. So anyhow, I hope this gave you some ideas for your garden to grow your beans up, or you could even grow an indeterminate tomato up here, you know, as a tomato. You know, the indeterminate tomatoes just keep on growing, and so you could also use this for that. Or anything that likes to grow up a vine, this would be good for that. And so anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. And I hope you have a wonderful day. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.